Hello, I am Purnendu Chatterjee, member expert committee on school education, and today I have with me my colleague Ratul Guho.
Hello.
And in this session we will be talking about the classroom dynamics for classes 1 and 2. Now, pre-primary class, as we know, is the starting point of the school academic career for a child. And as the child becomes prepared to learn, as the child becomes ready to gain knowledge and to construct knowledge as well, he is moved up the ladder into classes 1 and then after that class 2. Now, both class 1 and 2 have some commonalities. Both the books are integrated. We have one book for class 1 and one book for class 2. That is called My Book. That's the title of the book. The second commonality is that in terms of evaluation, abilities become a part of the summative evaluation process. We will come to that later on. And the third commonality with which I will go into the gamut of this session is this, that both the books are integrated. Now, this idea of integration is born out of the fact that knowledge do not come in packets or in quantums. Rather, knowledge comes in a continuum. For instance, only gaining or constructing knowledge about literacy and literacy only would create a lopsided learner who knows nothing about numeracy, or for instance, for that matter, health or physical education, or for that matter, the first language. Children must have a holistic development, the development of the entire personality in terms of the cognitive aspect, the affective domain, and the psychomotor area, along with, of course, the social and emotional intelligences. Now, when this book on class 1 was being devised, and I will come to class 2 later on, when this book on class 1 was being devised, the process of integration was that some themes were chosen, like the theme of color, like the theme of shape. The themes were chosen, and then on those themes, pages were designed, pages that would fulfill the cognitive, affective, psychomotor, socio-emotional needs of the children. Hence, it is to be kept in mind that there is no subject domain as such in class 1, and for that matter it is as true in class 2 as well. There is no subject domain. Therefore, a page written in, say, English will of course provide a learning outcome related to English language, but that page can also be used to understand numeracy. That page can also be used to provide a sense of color, which belongs to the domain of aesthetics. Or that page can be interpreted to provide to the needs of physical and health education. So, the pages here are actually platforms of knowledge. Knowledge that I have already said that do not come separately, but knowledge that come together. Knowledge not in compartments, but knowledge as a single flowing dimension. And it is best that children learn the continuum of knowledge in this way, because in the world of reality, knowledge do not come as broken things, as separated packets. Now, as far as the name of the book goes, as I told you, it is a My Book for both classes 1 and 2. The name My Book is very significant. Significant because the title itself correlates, or rather desires or seeks to correlate, the child and the book. The fact that the child has the ownership on the book, the fact that whatever he or she is learning from this book is his or her own learning, and that itself is a possession of joy, is reflected in the title of My Book. You will see that in My Book, the first language, they are different. There are different first languages. But second language, numeracy, and the health and physical part, they are all the same. In terms of second language, you have English, that's common. For numeracy part, the numeracy part has been translated to different languages, but since the translation is from the same source, the translations are the same. And so that stands as good a statement about health and physical education as well. So, when we are transacting lessons in the classroom for classes 1 and 2, we are to keep in mind, and this is my request to the teachers, that we are to keep in mind that please don't treat the pages as subject pages, a page of drawing, no. Say, for instance, if you have a page where there is an apple and where there is a mango, and the student has been asked to draw or to color those two shapes, the only purpose of the page is not to see that the students put the colors. Of course, it is a learning outcome that students see as students correctly put the colors in there. But they can also know about the fruits. They can count the number. They can see which one is bigger, which one is smaller. They can develop a sort of a spatial sense, a sense of space. They will become introduced to the degrees of comparisons. Therefore, we must remember to treat each page as a part of an entire knowledge structure. And what is more important is this, that the books have been designed in such a manner that after going through certain pages, it gives the scope of reinforcement. The teacher can come back to a previous page and correlate with the present page in order to reinforce the student's learning. With this, I would like to invite Ratul Guho to talk about, with examples, the mechanism in which this book may work in classes 1 and 2. Ratul.
Thank you, Purnenduda. As Purnenduda has rightly pointed out, we have a specific focus as far this my book of class 1 and 2 is concerned. Now, the first one, as Purnenduda has said, in the very beginning, for students, learning should have a holistic focus, a kind of a 360-degree focus. Learning should not take place in a very fragmented manner, in a very compartmentalized manner. Learning should come to the child in a very unified shape. As you see in the beginning, maybe at the beginning of a day, the sun rises, people come out of their houses, regular walks start, people go for markets, and we call it it's morning. So morning is the word that denotes so many actions. So morning gives a sense of integrated communication for so many actions. The same way, the child, when she or he at the beginning of her or his learning journey, learning comes to her or him in a very integrated manner. So this very word integrated, as it comes as a theory, should be maintained as far practice is concerned in the classroom process also. That's my first communication to my beloved teachers. The second is, as Purnenduda has pointed out, the title of the book is My Book. So we see there is a quest through the title as well to create a sense of communication between the child and the world, the inner world of a child and the outer world is communicated through the book called My Book. So it's my life, it's my world, and the book would help me to have a bridge, to develop a bridge between my inner world and the outer world. So the regular life practices of a child should be bridged with the different practices, different happenings of social life. That should be the focus of learning at the primary stage, at class 1 and class 2. Now, as we have already said and heard it from Purnenduda, that the pages are formulated in such a manner that it helps to cater the subject needs, subject abilities of different domain. Maybe it's language, maybe it's environment, maybe it's science, maybe it's maths, maybe health and physical education. So pages are formulated with an integrated focus, and the teacher, this is very important, the teacher can use the pages. The teacher can use the pages according to the need of the children. Here I would like to mention that there would be some indication which are very explicit. There will be some indications which are very explicit, and there will be some indications which are implied in each page. For an instance, For an instance, suppose there is a page where the students are expected to know numbers. Suppose there is a page. Now, to concretize the concept of number, some examples are given. The examples may be taken from nature. There may be butterflies, there may be flowers. Now, the teacher helps the student to understand the number and all those things, but at the same time, the teacher has the opportunity to use butterfly, flower as an expression of nature. Those are living beings, the natural components. So, teacher might use the page after using it for number and all those things, might use a page to relate or to share some information, some thoughts regarding butterfly, maybe regarding flower. While talking about the butterfly or talking about the flower, the teacher might talk about the colors, different colors of the flowers, different colors of butterfly. At the same time, while talking about the butterflies, the teacher might, if she or he feels like, talk a few sentences regarding those beautiful wings, how they fly, the creatures which can fly, the creatures which can't fly. So, the teacher might talk about the creatures who can fly, the creatures who cannot fly. So, a sense of comparing, a sense of making contrast, the ability to compare and contrast may also be used in the class as well. At the same time, teacher may take this opportunity to relate a butterfly to the aeroplane also. A butterfly can fly on its own, and on an aeroplane it can fly, but with the help of some machines and technological support. So, there are certain things which can fly and which can't fly. The teacher might say first, then she or he can say the things which can fly, out of those there are certain things which can fly on their own, like a bird, a butterfly. But at the same times, there are some things made by human beings which can fly, but with the help of technological support, that's like an aeroplane or a helicopter. These are the areas which can be explored by the teacher, keeping the background reality of the children in mind. So, I would like to share this particular point, that teacher will enjoy a lot of liberty while using the pages. The use of the page is never confined. The pages are developed in such a manner. The teacher can use the page according to the need of the situation, according to the background reality of the children, and according to her flexible plan of action. In many documents, educational documents, it has been rightly pointed out that there should be a sense of diffusion of subject boundary. There should be a diffusion of subject boundary at the early level. In this particular book, my book, at class 1 and 2 level, the content developers they have just done the same thing. They have diffused the subject boundaries, and they have just developed the page in such a manner that those pages can be used with the indications given in an explicit manner and with the indications which are implied as well. For instance, I would like to give the example of page 1 of class 1 my book. If you look at the page of class 1 my book, it's a picture, a complete full page picture in page 1 class 1 my book, and you see there are so many things in the picture. You can see the sky, you can see the sun, you can see the trees, you can see houses, you can see the roads, children playing, you can see the field. So the first page takes with it, brings with it a lot of learning components. Now it's up to the teacher, how she or he uses those learning components according to the need of the situation. The teacher can use the concept of sky that's above and the field that's down here. The teacher can say there are human beings and there are different animals also. The teachers might say there are certain things which they don't have life, maybe a house, maybe something made up of different substances, they don't have life, but here we can see human beings, here we can see different other animals, here we can see different trees which have life. So living and non-living things, the teacher might introduce the issue, may not be in a very detailed manner, but might introduce the issue. And even in living things, she or he can differentiate between a tree and other animals, including human being. So a tree and other animals, and even in animals, she or he can differentiate between human being and other animals also. She can also talk about, as there is the picture of the sun, the teacher can talk about the sense of time. If the sun rises, then it's morning, maybe at 6 o'clock, late afternoon, the sun set, then it's evening, then it's night. So the time frame may also be introduced while dwelling on this particular page. There is vehicle, a rickshaw van, there is a van. So maybe a little bit of things regarding transport may also be included in the discussion. The children are playing, so sports, games, this may also be included as far it may be permitted by the situation, the background of the students. The children are playing, so a sense of friendship, the value, socialization. So maybe there are trees of different shapes. So the shapes can be very tall tree, short tree. So tall and short, the differentiation can also be introduced. So there is a picture of a house, so people where people stay. So if there are houses for human beings, there should be houses for animals also. We can talk about that also. So this particular picture, at the very beginning of class 1 my book, gives you immense scope to dwell on different things and use each picture, each part of a picture as a learning component. So here the responsibility or role of the teacher is to make a plan of action for this page, that in this particular page there are certain components which are very direct, which give very direct communication as learning content. And there are certain things, let's say for time frame, let's say transport, maybe these are implied components, maybe friendship, value, these are implied components. So in each page, this is very important, dear ma'am, sir, this is very important. Each page of my book for class 1 and 2, they bring with them many learning components, and they are beyond subject boundary. And out of those learning components, some learning components which are communicated in a very direct manner, they are stated in an explicit fashion, and there are certain learning components which are indicated in an implied manner. It's very important. Some learning components which are narrated or directed or suggested in a very direct manner, and some learning components which are indicated in an implied manner. So, it is the role of the teacher to make a plan of action, a draft and a very flexible plan of action for each page, mentioning which learning points are stated in an explicit fashion and which learning point which are indicated in an indirect manner. If this plan of action for each page is drafted by the teacher for her own or his own regular classroom work, this would help the teacher to utilize each page at its best, and it would bring the highest level of effectiveness for the classroom learning. So, my humble suggestion to the teacher, please for class 1 and 2 book, you create a plan of action for a learning design for each page, mentioning the learning points which are stated directly, and those learning points as well, those secondary learning points as well which are indicated in an implied manner. This would ease your job, and this would help you to help or support the students to achieve the expected learning outcome of each page. One more thing which is very important for this integrated learning content, that's called my book, that in summative evaluation of class 1 and class 2, see, in summative evaluation of class 1 and class 2, as it is an integrated book, the summative evaluation, the question paper will never be developed according to subject. As it is an integrated textbook, the summative questions would be based on ability, will be skill based question papers, because it is not the integration of certain subjects, it is the integration of abilities, and those abilities belong to certain subjects. So, the book is integration of certain skills and abilities and qualities which belong to certain subjects. So, whenever we will evaluate and in summative, when we will evaluate, it won't be the evaluation of the subject, it would be the evaluation of the abilities which belong to certain subjects. So, the question papers of summative should be on 4 abilities, that is ability to communicate, ability to correlate, ability in problem solving, and ability and in physical and mental coordination. So, ability to communicate, correlate, problem solving, and mental and physical coordination. Those 4 abilities will be evaluated at the time of summative evaluation. The questions won't be subject based, but rather ability based. So, I would request, whenever the teachers are using this fantastic learning content called my book for class 1 and 2, just keeping these 3 important points in mind. 1, this is an integrated book, so each page would be used for different subject based on abilities, and teachers may use it according to the background reality and need of the situation. This is 1. For each page, teachers will have a flexible draft plan of action, where teachers teachers will mention in our plan of action which are the explicit learning point of the page and which are the implied learning point of the page. This is the second one. And the third one, whenever developing summative question papers for summative evaluation, we should the questions should not be on first language, second language, maths or physical and health education. It's not like that. The question should be on 4 abilities: communication, correlation, problem solving, and mental and physical coordination. That's it, Purnendra.
Thank you, Ratul. As I go into the wrap here, I would request my beloved teachers that whenever you are transacting a book of class 1 or a book of class 2, and as you take them through the pages, also remember that the abilities they are developing, the skills that they are learning, needs to be reinforced. And the most beautiful thing that can happen is that as these children go up from class 1 to 2 and then into class 3, and as we open up on class 3, we will have separate subjects. But these children, as they move up through class 1 and then into class 2 and then to the end of class 2, what will become so significant is that they now have well developed abilities that would stand them in good stead, whether to think creatively or to think critically or to solve problems or have fine or gross motor movements or have good aesthetic sense. All these qualities will be developed in your hands through the two books, my book 1 and my book 2, in classes 1 and 2. And your role as a teacher in nourishing the students will only be augmented by these two books. So we wish that you will use these two books as we have discussed and help the students to optimize their achievements. Thank you.
Thank you very much.